In this chapter, we're going to look at what's called post hoc tests. In the previous chapter, we had multiple groups, and we wanted to determine if there was a significant difference in those multiple groups. The problem we ran into, though, was just because there's a difference between those groups, it doesn't do us much good if we can't determine where the differences are. For example, with PSAT scores, we have freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. If my null hypothesis was that all three of those are equal to each other, and I rejected it, all I have to do is knock out one of those equal signs. For example, if freshmen are not equal to sophomores, then that rejects the entire null hypothesis. But what I really want to know is, are the freshmen higher than the sophomores, or are they less than the sophomores? Are the sophomores higher than juniors, or less than the juniors? Are the sophomores higher than seniors? I mean, there's lots and lots of different combinations. There's probably about 27 different combinations you can come up with. We need a little bit of help with that. So what we have is something called a post hoc test. It's conducted after the ANOVA, and basically it's like a two-tailed test. We're saying that there is a difference, but we're not sure where the difference is. And there's two types that can be used. There is a pairwise, which means it's looking at freshmen and sophomores, sophomores and juniors, juniors and seniors, sophomores and seniors, juniors and freshmen. It lists every possible combination. Something called a non-pairwise means that there is a difference that we're specifically looking for. Like, for example, we only want to look at whether or not the sophomores, juniors, and seniors are different. And that's non-pairwise because you're restricting what's going to be used. The authors list several different types of tests. These are all post hoc tests. There's Fisher's LSD, Duncan's, Tukey's, Chaffee. Tukey's is the kind of one that's in the middle. That's the one that I think you'll probably come across the most. And these are listed from liberal to conservative, depending upon what type of test they're trying to use. The thing about the type of test that they use, whether it's liberal or conservative, is if somebody used a liberal test like Fisher's, that increases the chances of a type 1 error, but reduces the risk of a type 2 error. A conservative test like Chaffee's increases the chances of a type 2 error, but decreases the chances of a type 1. Now, going back a few chapters ago, what we said was if you're going to make a mistake, a type 2 error is much less damaging than a type 1 error. So if somebody's using such a liberal test like Fisher's, it should really make you wonder whether or not there's a chance that they're making a type 1 error. The reason that you'll see Tukey's so much is because it's kind of in the middle. It's not so liberal that it's going to make a type 1 or so conservative it's going to make the type 2. Now, what do these look like? If you look at excerpt 12.14 in your book, and then I'm going to show you some other examples in the articles. What I want you to notice is, for example, we want to determine if there is a difference in Pharm D, BS Pharm, CPHT, and Pharmacy Technician in terms of the age and years for that first attribute. So we have a ANOVA because we can see that we have an F score. And then you'll see some letters associated with those numbers. There's an A, B, A, and A next to each of those numbers. What that means is Pharm D, CPHT, and Pharmacy Technician, their scores are statistically equal. That 50.45 with the B next to it means that that is statistically different. And you'll notice the 3 asterisks over there next to the F score. That means it's significant at the 0.001 level. Underneath that, for years of experience, you'll notice 20.63 has a B next to it, but the other 3 have A's. When you're looking at these articles, it's those letters that will help you determine where the differences are if they don't tell you. So let's look at a couple of articles. One of the ones that I've included is this one about Alzheimer's. And they're doing a lot of things with this. If you go down to table 1, they want to know, among a lot of other information, if there's a significant difference in the age of their 4 groups. So they've got one group that's Spanish-speaking normal controls, an English-speaking normal controls, Spanish-speaking AD patients, English-speaking AD patients. Now what you'll notice is there's some letters next to each of these. And just like the example out of the book, this has a B next to it. That means that these 3 numbers, 72.41, 74.40, 75.05, they all have an A. That all means that they are statistically equal. This one has a B next to it. That means that it is higher than these 3. And this is the significance level, obviously less than 0.05. These 3 all have different sets of letters. So these 2 with the A's and B's, those are A, B, those are the same. So those are statistically equal. C is different, BC is different. So you can see where the differences are. This one has something that's a little bit odd in it, and as far as I can tell, it's just a typographical error. But you'll notice here's a 42.15 and 42.20, both with the B. Here's a 21.92 with an A, and a 20.57 with a B. Now, if we're really interpreting this correctly, what they are saying is that this number, because it has a B next to it, is statistically equal to these 2 numbers. Well, that's probably not true, considering that this number is less than this one. My guess is that this is a typo and that that's really supposed to be an A. But it's the kind of thing that you need to pay attention to. In this article, and this is the one about obesity, they did it a little bit different. Here's the post hoc test that they used, the Hoc test. And you can see that there's an underweight group, an average group, and overweight group. So here we can say that 2, 26.5, is greater than 3, 25.0, and significant at the 0.05 level. On this one, 2 is greater than 1, and 2 is also greater than 3. What we don't know is what the relationship is between 1 and 3. As far as we know, they're statistically equal, and they probably are, considering they're both 24.7. So when you have multiple groups, they should have some kind of post hoc test to tell you where the differences are. If they don't have a post hoc test, then they don't have a way of being able to do that. There's not going to be a discussion thread on this part. This is kind of a short chapter, so we will move on to the next thing.